Hello Flutter devs, welcome to another exciting tutorial. Today we will explore the building blocks of any Flutter application, widgets. These are the essential piece that brings your app's UI to life. Let's dive in. In Flutter, everything you see on the screen is a widget. From basic text and button to layout and animations, widgets are the foundation. They describe how your app's UI should look and behave. Widgets in Flutter can be broadly categorized into two types, stateless and stateful. And now, let's talk about what makes a class a widget. To create a widget, you need to extend either stateless widget or stateful widget. These are the base classes provided by Flutter. Your widget class must override the build method, which returns a widget tree. So now on the screen now, let's create a simple widget. First thing I need to do is that I'm going to come down here and then I'm going to create a class. I'm going to create a class which I'm going to be naming my app, or let's say my widget. Now for this class to become a widget, it needs to extend either stateful or stateless widgets. It extends stateless widgets if there won't be a need for rebuilding of UI, while it takes stateful widgets if there will be need for rebuilding of UI. For this simple example, I'm just going to be creating a stateless widget and then it extends stateless widgets. And then we come down here. Then remember, as a result of extending stateless widget, it has access to the build method of the stateless widget. So we need to override that build method. So come here, override build. And then what does this build does? If we hover on it, you can see it has a return type of widget. So whatever widget we want to display on our screen, the build method allows us to return that widget to our screen. So we simply come here and let's remove this. And then we're simply going to just say return. And then we can return test widget. I'm going to simply say hello. This is digital bar. And then let's add a semicolon here. And let's save this. And then let's make use of the my widget which we just created here. So we're simply going to come here and then say my widget. And then we can add comma here. And let's save this. And as you can see, we have hello. This is a digital bar. Most of the time when you're building real life application, this being your root widget, most of the time we normally return the scaffold, and then you can now start adding other child widgets to that. I have separate tutorial on scaffold. You can check that out to understand how scaffold widget works. Then the next thing we're going to be talking about is that just like a normal class, widget often comes with parameter, and that lets us to customize the appearance or behavior. For example, the text I have on the screen now. So if you hover on this now, you get to see that it takes parameter like a positional parameter, data, and then others are named parameter. We have key, style, we have text align, text direction, and the likes. So this position parameter, which is the data, is the first data parameter which we've already passed to it, and you can see that it's of type string. So let's add style, which is a name parameter. To do that, we're just going to come here, add comma, and then we can say style, and we can add text style. Let's give it a color, and then this also, which is another widget. If you open on it, you can see that it takes parameter, color, background color, scaffold, and all this. So you can give it a color, and then we can say colors dot white, and yeah, and then you can see that the color has changed to white color. So by passing parameter, you can tweak widgets to fit your design requirements without needing to create entirely new ones. Now let's talk about the widget tree. In Flutter, widgets are organized in an hierarchical structure called the widget tree. This structure allows widgets to compose and reuse other widgets. The build method is at the heart of this tree, and it tells Flutter how to paint your UI. So for example, you can see I have my column widget. nested inside my scaffold widget. And that's why you can see that it is a child of the scaffold widget. And also inside the scaffold widget, we have list of children. And the first one is test and followed by the elevated button. And with this, you are essentially building a tree. This tree is what Flutter renders on the screen with the help of the build method. Now, let's talk about the glue that holds the widget tree together. A build context. Every widget in Flutter is associated with a build context. This build context provides information about the location of the widget in the tree and allows widget to interact with their parent or descendant. Think of build context as the widget address in the tree. It allows functions like retrieving inherited widget property. So if we want to pass down a property from a parent widget down to the child widget, the build context helps us to achieve that. It also helps us with the location of widget on the widget tree. Remember, during the course of our introduction, I said that we have two types of widgets, which are stateless widgets and stateful widgets. Now, let's explain what a stateful and a stateless widget are. Stateless widgets are immutable. Once created, they cannot change their appearance or behavior. We use stateless widgets for static content. So when you are creating a UI that the content is static and won't be changing, we make use of a stateless widget. And how do we do that? We simply come here. Let's remove the scaffold from here. And then we can give this a name and call it my stateless widget. And then we can come down here outside the void main method. And then remember, we can just say st and then stateless. Then we can give this my stateless widget. And just like that, we've created a stateless widget. Then inside the build method, we can return the scaffold now. And let's display a static text. Just going to come here. You can have the app bar, and then the app bar text bar, and this text title. And then we can have text, which we can display our static text, which is stateless widget. And then can still add the body, and then we can add the text widget. We can say I am a stateless widget. And let's enter this text widget, factor, and then send. And let's save this. And now you can see on my mobile app screen, we have a static text. So this is a perfect use case for a stateless widget. Now let's look at the stateful widget. Stateful widget, on the other hand, can change dynamically. They are ideal for content that updates, like counters, forms, or user interaction. So let's say you're building a mobile app and you expect the UI to change based on change in the data that we are giving to the UI. Then the best widget to use for this is the stateful widget, so that anytime the data changes, the UI rebuilt itself. For example, now let's look at what I have on the screen here. I have counter and I have a value of 0 initially. When I click on this button now, you can see that it has increased to 1. When I click it again, you can see it has increased to 2. Let's go to our code here. You can see that I have a test widget which takes counter and then a counter variable here. So this counter variable initially was set at 0, but anytime we make use of the elevated button, which takes the function increment counter, which we have here, the UI rebuilt and then the value is being updated. So on the screen here, I have the void main method and the runout method, which takes material app, and then on the home, I have my stateful widget. And then now we have my stateful widget, which extends stateful widget. So by extending the stateful widget, it has access to the create state method, and then we are overriding the initial create state method, and then we are returning an instance of my stateful widget. Every stateful widget needs to define a create state method. And what's the purpose of the create state method? The first one is that it tells Flutter to create an instance of a corresponding state that holds the widget mutable state. In this case, it creates an instance of my stateful widget. So we can see now that we have a return type of underscore my stateful widget state, and then we have my stateful widget state returned to this create state method. And then let's look at what my stateful widget state is. My stateful widget state is a private class that is denoted by the underscore prefix. It extends state of type my stateful widget. And what we basically do here is that it is within this class that we define the mutable state variable and logic for my stateful widget. So the variable that the value is going to be changing, we'll define it inside this underscore my stateful widget state. And also the logic which we are going to apply for the value of the variable to change, we also define it inside this my stateful widget state. And then after that, it takes the build method, which I already explained. When the Flutter built the my stateful widget, it calls this method, the create state method, to instantiate the my stateful widget state. And then the my stateful widget state provide a build method, which we have here, which then defines how the UI should look based on the current state. So now in order to rebuild my UI, I have an elevated button here, which takes the method which I have created inside the my stateful widget state. So anytime I click on this now, what simply happens is that the variables which we have created, which initially was 0, we make use of an increment. So we say counter plus plus, and then it changes from 0 to 1. And then another important thing is the set state method. The set state method lets us rebuild the UI with updated data, making stateful widget perfect for dynamic content. So what this simply means that anytime our data is being updated, we need to put the updated data inside our set state method. And as a result of that, the UI will be rebuilt based on that updated data. So we have our counter increment here inside our set state, which is inside our function that we are calling inside the elevated button. So anytime we call this, anytime we press this, the method is being called and the counter value increase, and then the value is being updated and the variable is being updated, and then we have it displayed here. So I can click on this and then we have 3, click on this, we have 4, click on this, we have 5. Let's explain this for the last time before I move to the next topic. So my stateful widget is created and it extends stateful widget, which gives my stateful widget access to this create state method. This method is called, and then an instance of my stateful widget state is being returned, and inside this my stateful widget state. Now let me quickly finish up with this layout and show you how we can create a custom reusable widget. Inside the scaffold, I added body, which takes list view widget, and I want to display a list of cards in my list view. So I have the first card here, and then I have the second card here, and then I have the third card here. And now when you're writing for production, one thing you always have to have at the back of your mind is that you need to make sure your code is clean. In order to make your code clean, we normally create a custom reusable widget. To do that, I'm going to come inside the lib folder here, and then I'm going to create a file and just name it card widget .dat, and then I can say stateless widget. I can call it card. So if you are creating a widget for the first time, you can just type st, then you have this option. If you're creating for stateful widget, you can click on this, but for now I'm just creating for a stateless widget, and I can say card widget. Then I need to import material.dat. So I have this. So instead of returning this container here, I'm just going to come here, and then I can copy my card widget, which is a default widget created by that, and then I can come here and then I can return it, and let me remove the comma. And when I save this now, And instead of having all this long code in my file here, I can simply do this, and then I'll be asked to import this. So just going to hover on it, quick fix, and then I'm importing this. Then I can remove the other widgets which I have here. And let's duplicate this. As many times as we want. And if we save this now, you can see we have our custom widget display on list view. Now we can further customize this by making this dynamic in such a way that we can determine the color we want to give each widget, the text we want to display on each widget. In order to do that, we're going to come back here, and our class widget, we're going to add 2 parameters to it. The first one is going to be final, and then it's of type strings. There you can say string, and we can give it title. And the next one is going to be the color we want to give our widget. So we can say final of type color. Then we can give it the name color, and then we have semicolon here. Then we're going to add this field to our constructor. We can just over on this, and then when we quick fix, it automatically add those 2 fields as a parameter to our constructor. So now what we need to do now is that instead of we having widget 1 here, we can replace widget 1 with title. So I'm just going to remove this, and then I can say title. And then instead of having colors.blue here, I can replace with color. So I'm just going to come here, and I can say color. And when I save this now, if I go back to my main.dat, I'll be required to pass those 2 parameters into my widget. In order to do that, I'm just going to hover on this, and then I can click quick fix and then add required title. And my first title will be widget 1. And then I either over on this and click on quick fix, or since I know it, I can just type color, and then I can give it colors dot blue. And now we need to do the same thing for the remaining 4 widgets. Let me do that. And now you can see I have my widget interactive in such a way that I can pass dynamic values to my widget and then have it display in such a way that I want it to be displayed. So the first one takes widget 1, and you can see I have widget 1 here, colors.blue. I have colors.blue. Second one is widget 2 and red color. You can see it. Widget 3, green color here. Widget 4, orange color. And the last one is widget 5, deep purple. And here we define a reusable custom widget and use it in a list view. This demonstrates the power of widgets in Flutter. So today we explore the core of Flutter widget. We covered the basics of stateless and stateful widgets, the importance of widget tree and build context, how to create your own widget, and the various categories of widgets. Remember, widgets are your toolkits in Flutter development. If you found this tutorial helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more Flutter content. See you next time. Thank you.